A Simplified Process of Manifesting Your Desires by Jennifer Crystal Johnson. InnerWorkCoaching.life. Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing. Muhammad Ali. We all love to play with the idea that we are creating our own reality, but how much of your own reality are you actually creating consciously? When it comes to the law of attraction and learning how to manifest your desires on purpose, there can be a period of learning and finding your own groove to fall into anytime you want or need something in your everyday life. Remember, the things you choose to manifest don't have to be anything in particular, nor do they have to be something you see as quote-unquote big or small. Your perceived size of the desire you have is only your opinion and may serve to hinder your progress rather than help it, simply because many of us might consider anything we've never asked for before to be quote-unquote big, but asking for things we have never had is kind of the point. So you can see how finding and maintaining your emotional and energetic balance can be interesting to settle into. Right now, because of the dualistic nature of the physical world, we find ourselves on the precipice of an important decision, each and every single one of us on an individual basis. That decision is between a perception or dimension of consciousness focused on fear, lack, and control, the survival dimension, and a perception or a dimension of consciousness focused on love, abundance, and allowing, the thriving dimension. It's no one else's responsibility but your own to consciously choose which dimension of consciousness you would prefer to live in. For me personally, the choice was obvious. I have a real issue with people being controlling and forceful, coercive, or manipulative due to my own past experiences, so I basically decided that I'm going to put myself and my own needs before those who wish to take advantage or who want to make me responsible for the way they feel. And that is not my responsibility. Similarly, it isn't your responsibility to take care of someone else's emotional state. That is their job and responsibility, but those who are codependent, emotionally unwell, toxic, personality disordered, or abusive have a tendency to make their feelings everyone else's responsibility. And when others fail to make or keep them happy, they lash out and use various manipulative and emotionally coercive tactics in order to control you into doing what they want. You have probably noticed that there is a lot of upheaval in the world right now and that people tend to either take a stance for one extreme or another, rather than finding the happy medium for everyone's benefit and betterment. Many people even believe now that there is no room for compromise or trying new things that might work better than the old way. And for them, it becomes true because they believe it. However, it is becoming less and less of a secret that cooperation, collaboration, and win-win situations are usually possible, if not always. Like everything else in life, this begins with our inner work, which directly impacts our energetic state of being and how we show up in the world. When we show up in a spirit of joyful co-creation and collaboration, rather than force and competition, we are much more likely to make a positive impact on everything we come into contact with, rather than messing up everybody's day by being an a-hole. Of course, if that's who you want to be, I can't stop you. But most of us prefer to be encouraged, supported, and treated with respect rather than being treated like someone's property. The golden rule applies here too. So because I wouldn't want someone treating me that way, I do my best in every moment to not do that to other people either, including my children. Having said all of that, you can probably see just how important your energetic state of being can be in your daily life, and every interaction you take part in will send out a ripple effect into the world. When you treat others well and notice little things, people see you as joyful and encouraging, and you may even make someone's day a million times better simply by noticing something. However, when you show up in the world in a bad mood, angry, irritable, or constantly complaining, people tend to pick up on those energies and get pulled down a little bit themselves, unless they have already become excellent at maintaining a higher frequency. In turn, they will then take their altered mood to whomever they interact with next, and this effect just keeps spreading out until the momentum of the energy fizzles out. The same principle applies to attracting what you want in your life. It works the same way whether you're picking up or downloading energies or sending them out or uploading them. The reason for this is because like attracts like, so if you're the type of person who talks about and thinks about things that are wrong in your life more often than not, you will be worried and attracting more things to keep you in that feeling. However, if you're the type of person who more often than not is joyful, appreciative, and loving, then you will attract more of those types of experiences into your life. Your energy and your emotional state of being are the singular most important aspect of this. It all begins from within, so I'd like to take a few moments to talk about how I've come to understand the process of conscious manifestation from my current perspective and collection of experiences. 1. Know what you want. You have to be able to picture it in your mind somewhat, sure, but that's not the most important part. The most important part is the feeling of it, like you already have it. So when you imagine that thing you desire, think of it in a way that makes you feel like you already have it and you're comfortable having it, like you've had it for a month or two already and are getting used to it, but you're still in that super grateful, happy, excited mode. This is the feeling, the state of gratitude but not desperation, the state of no resistance to your desire. When you feel this, you will know it, and I encourage you to bask in it and enjoy it for as long as you can. It doesn't matter how long exactly, but make a habit of doing this anytime you recognize that feeling, and sometimes you'll even manifest things you didn't really think about that much. For example, it could be something as little and ridiculous as a keychain. My landlords, my teen girls, and I were all hanging out for dinner a couple of nights ago, and they have this incredible collection of keychains, all of which have some kind of story attached to them. The entire bundle of keychains is a beast. There are hundreds, all different things and sizes. Old-fashioned stuff like a clownfish from before Finding Nemo and a tiny Etch-a-Sketch. As we went through these keychains and they told stories about some of them, a keychain with a metal Eiffel Tower caught my attention. I was at the Eiffel Tower when I was a child, and I don't remember much from the experience, but I do remember a couple of silly things. Anyway, I was drawn to this keychain, and he told me that sometimes they'll give one away to someone if they have a double or aren't sentimentally attached to it. I just shrugged and smiled and said that's cool, not expecting anything. We continued going through them and talking about different keychains, and then his wife noticed that there had been an Eiffel Tower over by her side of the keychain mass too, and look at that. There happened to be two of the one keychain that really intrigued me. Totally not planned and very interesting to experience, because it was so seemingly benign, but law of attraction nevertheless. You may even begin to notice that you can manifest things much faster now than before. The energies and the planetary shift happening are actually helping to speed up this process for us too, because the divine wishes to assist us in our awakening process so that we can preserve the human species and save it rather than allowing ourselves to destroy our own world like we have been. Feel it, but don't try to focus too hard either. That genuine nonchalance within you will help you attract more things than feeling a desperate wanting for something. So imagine that you already have it, you're comfortable with having it, and feel the feelings that go along with that scenario. The human mind is an amazing tool if we know how to use it, and this visualizing and imagining aspect is something Olympic athletes have done for years, if not decades, so they have known this secret to manifesting success for a long time already. Now, it's our turn. 2. Ask for what you want. Asking can feel difficult for us humans. You don't have to ask out loud if you don't want to, but take a moment to focus on your desire. Allow yourself to think, this is what I want to experience in my life. Sometimes this asking may only take a moment, a split second, as you recognize something you'd like to experience within your life and briefly focus on it before letting it go, and maybe even forgetting about it until it arrives. Believe it or not, that does happen from time to time. It's happened to me, and the only reason I noticed is because I've trained myself to notice a lot in my everyday experience through ongoing mindfulness practices, being observant, paying attention. This is how you recognize synchronicities and signs from your inner being about the right direction for you. And this might only make sense to you and nobody around you unless or until you explain it. And even then, another person may not understand, so don't do this for anyone else. Do this only for yourself, and take your own delight in the process and revel in it. Enjoy it. This is what life is all about, and we are meant to enjoy the process of co-creating our physical experiences. 3. Prepare to receive. This preparation part is kind of important, especially if your desire or the life you're trying to manifest is what we here in the physical world would consider quote-unquote big. Even if it isn't big according to the masses, it might be more than anything you've ever asked for before. So to you, it might feel massive. Don't let that intimidate you, but be aware of any changes you may need to make in order to align with this outcome or desire, and then begin making those changes in your everyday life. This is kind of what they mean when they say fake it till you make it. Begin acting like it's already arrived, and it will arrive faster. Self-doubt will probably creep in, but keep going. It may feel slightly insincere or fake at first, but this is at least partially your ego mind and or conditioning talking. So recognize it, take a realistic but optimistic stance, and continue moving forward. If there does seem to be a legitimate issue, you can tweak what you're doing until it works better for you. For example, if you have a desire to become a juggler, you will need to learn what juggling might entail. After you've learned via reading, watching, study, etc., you'll need to begin putting what you've learned into practice in order to begin your journey toward mastery. And mastery might take a little while, although this is much faster for some people than others based on their beliefs. Because if you believe it will be difficult and tedious and horrible, you will either talk yourself out of even trying, or you will experience it being difficult and tedious and horrible. These are all things you will learn on your journey, but enjoying the activity you're doing makes it much simpler to continue after at least one or more inevitable so-called failures. The point is, consistent practice and lifelong learning are the way toward success in life no matter what you're working toward achieving. Each step on your journey will have different lessons and opportunities for growth, and each step will help you reach the next step. You can't jump from simply wanting to learn to juggle to becoming a world-famous master juggler overnight. It takes consistent and habitual practice each and every day in order to reach this point. If you enjoy the process and love what you're learning as you go, this journey will feel magical and amazing. However, if you feel resistant emotions during the process, then it may be indicative of a block for you to overcome and learn from, or that this isn't the path you're meant to be on. It takes discernment and patience to determine which one is your answer, and this is up to only you because no one else can make that determination for you, because no one else has all of the information from your perspective like you do. Information includes energetic information, such as your gut instincts and how well you know a circumstance, person, process, or whatever it may be that you're dealing with. Another aspect of preparation is emotional, which I'll cover in the next step. 4. Open up to actually receiving. You must know that you are worthy. You are worthy and deserving of the life you desire, period, and you must believe and know this on every level of your being. Not just intellectually say, yeah, sure, I deserve it, but know deep down that you are worthy of it. When you say you quote-unquote deserve something, it tends to imply that you've done some kind of work or made some kind of sacrifice in order to get to where you are. Both of these energies have negative connotations, also known as resistance. Making a sacrifice carries with it a sense of victimhood, and quote-unquote earning something carries with it a sense of resentment, because you feel like the world owes you something for your work. Neither of these emotional energies are conducive for conscious, positive manifestation, so let's talk more about feeling worthy of the desire you wish to manifest. When you feel worthy, it feels more like you know you have a right to experience happiness and things that make you feel wonderful in this life. You have the right to these things because you are human, and you are connected to the divine via your soul or inner being, your energetic core. Deep down, you know and understand that you have the power to co-create your reality, the power to influence it in whatever means you choose to by directing your emotional energy. So when you begin to master your craft, in this case co-creating your physical life experience, it's similar to mastering a skill of any kind in the physical world as well. The process of mastery through consistent practice is the same. It's just that this work happens within you, and no one else can see it happening until the results manifest in your physical reality. You also have to know that this is you doing your part in creating the life you wish to live. That means you deserve credit too. Be appreciative of life and source and the universe and the amazing energies that support us all. But also, recognize that you did your part in this too, especially if it's a whole new life and you had to do a substantial amount of work to get there. Restructuring your life is no small task, so please be appreciative of yourself too. It's not arrogant or narcissistic to love yourself and appreciate the work you do for your own progress. What is narcissistic is when you expect other people to wait on you hand and foot, and for your success to be handed to you on a silver platter without any work on your part. That method isn't sustainable. Eventually, every person on the NPD spectrum screws up, and that's usually when those who were affected by that person's manipulation tactics and mind games wake up to it and begin to put their own needs first out of a necessity to maintain their own emotional well-being and sanity. So, be open to receiving and know that you are, in fact, worthy of everything you desire within this life. Let's be real for a moment. Nobody wants the same things exactly. One person's ultimate life desires are different from another person's. Most of us just want to be comfortable and happy and free to do the things we enjoy doing while also being able to sustain ourselves in the physical sense. That freedom requires a certain amount of time and money, and in most cases in today's society, people think they have to give up one or the other. You either have time or money, but never both, right? This is where a shift in consciousness has to happen. You can have both. You are allowed to protect your time and energy so that you don't have to go around feeling drained and lifeless all the time. In order to do that, though, you may need to charge more, revise your schedule, or limit the amount of work you do so that the work you actually do is effective rather than mediocre. The 80-20 rule states that 20% of your effort creates 80% of your results, and this is usually the 20% that is inspired, energetic, passionate action. Something you love, something you enjoy, like me while I'm writing this because my fingers are just flying across the keys. It's an amazing feeling. Now, while I'm writing, I have zero worries and all ideas. My energy is in receptive mode and I get inspired thinking about possibilities in science and how amazing it is to live in this day and age when we have so much potential for greatness and are teetering on the edge between greatness and destruction. It's an exciting time to be alive, albeit a little terrifying at the same time, but mostly exciting because we're making so much progress as a species and a collective right now. We choose. Each of us on an individual basis can choose for ourselves, so why not choose happiness, love, joy, peace, abundance, whatever that means for you personally, all of your needs met effortlessly, zero obstacles unless you create them, and the ability to recognize when you have easily and without judgment. That is the dimension of consciousness I choose, and I know it pretty well by now, even if it doesn't always appear so. Growth and evolution happen in cycles, but I recognize so much goodness and progress within my life, and each step along my journey has made absolute perfect sense from my perspective now, meaning I've done pretty well in following what I was meant to, despite how seemingly quote-unquote bad some of my experiences may seem. Looking back, knowing what I know now, I recognize a pattern of progress. I see what was repetitive, and I see how it was connected to my energetic state of being. I perpetuated my own misery for a while in my younger years, and now that I've been able to see that, I can change it and improve my life on so many more levels than before. That particular layer of my veil has lifted. Which dimension of consciousness do you prefer to live in? What are you doing to facilitate this decision? No matter where you are on your journey of awakening, it's always a good time to begin noticing how things are working out in your favor, especially if the circumstances seem odd or things happen in a roundabout kind of way. All too often, these roundabout, circumstantial sequences of events are indicative of you manifesting a specific desire, so pay attention to what's happening within your daily experience so that you can learn what it feels like and repeat the process on purpose. I've done my absolute best to illustrate with words how this process feels from my perspective and experience. But if you have any emotional insights to share about how you have been able to manifest things within your life, I invite you to do so in the comments below. This is a big part of remembering our own creative and divine powers, and I hope that each and every one of you is able to reach a new level of conscious manifestation and ultimately the life you are meant to live. I encourage you to take notice of the ways in which life or source tries to communicate with you in your everyday experience, because these messages are often subtle and soft, which is why people who are still unconscious don't, or can't, notice these little moments of divinity. It isn't that these things don't happen within their experience, it's more that they don't notice it yet, so they can't fully appreciate their own power and influence over their life experience. The more we begin to observe and take notice, the more we can recognize all of the connectedness within our lives and begin to understand how our moods and interactions affect what we attract and how quickly. Remember, beautiful souls, you are worthy. Abundance is your birthright. You are, after all, a spark of divinity, and divinity exists within all of us. So we must learn to love ourselves enough so that our divinity may be revealed and positively impact the world around us, and therefore the collective. You are each so much more deep down than what you may believe, and once you connect with and find that spark, it is very difficult to forget about the potential you hold within. It's time to look inside yourself and remember the divine spirit within you. You are much more than this physical body you find yourself living in, and once you begin to see that within yourself, you can also see it within others much more easily. Unconditional love conquers all, and it begins with you showing that amazing kind of love to yourself. Namaste, my friends. I hope you're enjoying your week and happy manifesting. Thank you so much for watching. No matter where you are on your journey, please take good care of yourself from within on all levels. If you'd like more guidance, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or visit www.innerworkcoaching.life for more content or to apply for one-on-one coaching. With unconditional love and light, I wish you an amazing week, and I hope to see you again for my next video. Namaste.